They visited other gyms and lo and behold, they got ringworm or staph. And they were like, everyone was wearing shoes on the mat. But we've never had that.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we have a very special guest. Our guest is the head coach of the UAE national team of mixed martial arts. It's an honor and a pleasure to have you on our platform to highlight achievements, go through your journey, and just have a beautiful conversation with you. You're a very insightful person. You have a very great experience, and we look forward. We really do look forward. And you've done a lot of great things to our country in terms of mixed martial arts. So it's a pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for having me on your show, guys. It's a pleasure also to be with you.
I start,
yeah? Of course,
okay. Mr. Tolly Plested. I mean, this has been a long time coming, to be honest. Like, I always, behind your back, I give you your flowers, by the way, but I want to give you, even in front of you, to your face, the MMA scene, especially the UAE MMA scene. Like me and Ahmed, before even anything, we are real students of the game. Like we enjoy the sport, even as spectators before practicing it. And we always were angry about how our scene was. Like it was hectic back in the days. But since you've joined, especially the national team, I mean, you did. I mean, the changes. Unimaginable, especially in terms of structure, in terms of training, because I've seen you live how you deal with the students. You even gave me a hard time once for eating chewing gum, by the way, on the mats. No, but these things are needed. Like you have to have structure. You have to have a father figure in the gym, especially when you're training youth. The youth, I mean, teenagers, kids, 20-year-old kids that want to start in the sport. It was a bit random back in the day, and since you joined, I mean, even Ahmed can affirm to my point that I mean they leveled up big time. Yeah. So kudos to you. I know it's hard, it's not easy. No. Managing kids, managing people in the gym, emotions, all of these things, but I mean, you deserve all the praise, to be honest.
Thank you, guys. Honestly, for me, I first visited the UAE in 2014. Some of my friends had started coaching jiu-jitsu for the military, and I come to visit my friend and I saw the country, and honestly, I fell in love with it the first time. And since then, I'd always visited every year at Christmas time. And for me, being able to coach here is just a form of appreciation to give back to the country I call home now, which is the UAE. And I'm very passionate about what I do. I've been coaching for near on 23 years. So when I was here and I started at the gym in MBZ, it was natural for me to just pass on my passion to the local people and try to help and support them in their goals and their dreams.
MBZ UFC gym, you mean, right?
Yeah,
UFC gym.
It was based in MBZ in Abu Dhabi.
Yeah.
And I was there for 2 years. The job description for me was to help establish a string of UFC gyms throughout Abu Dhabi. The brand had franchises in Dubai, had facilities, and then they wanted to branch out into Abu Dhabi. And at the time, I was working for UFC gyms in Europe. So I moved over here. It was during COVID, and started my mission. And that's where sort of it begun full time for me. The gym itself was formed of local people, from youngsters to seniors, and they were training jiu-jitsu, kickboxing, various different disciplines, but they didn't have MMA as a class. So I introduced the class and the class format to the facility. And it was like the guys just started coming training. We built friendships, and before you knew it, they brought their cousins to train, and and relatives and then other friends, and before long the numbers grew to 20, 30 guys. And I made our own interclub competitions for the guys because I wanted them to get experience, and at that time there wasn't really any lower level interclubs or amateur competitions, at least for when we started, so they got some experience then. And then the following year, I think the UAE MMA Federation formed their first national championships. So it was great. It gave the guys a platform to be able to showcase their talent and what they were working towards. So yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I think they saw the work that you were doing with the youth, especially with in the UFC gym, like, because you had fighters competing in amateur competitions, winning. I think they saw how you affected them. They might have seen the value in you and bringing you in, as this is my personal view, in the national team. Because one of the people, so most of the people might not know, he was one of the first guys that guided Hadi into his professional career. Especially his first 2 fights, I believe so. He was training in the UFC gym with you guys, mostly with you and Carl and Gustavo.
Yeah.
So
when we started training together, the local lads from MBZ, I think it took people's attention. Up until then, MMA didn't seem to have a real footing at a lower level. It was, you had the bigger shows, UAE Warriors, you had UFC, but it was just that first step for the locals to be able to train, and then after they enjoyed the training, obviously competition is a natural progression. And it was then when the jiu-jitsu coach Gustavo approached me about one of his students that was a local lad, Hadi. And he wanted training in MMA, and Gustavo introduced us and he joined us with the training, and that's how that started. And I think it's logical once people see that it's possible and people have their own goals and people are drawn to that. And I always try to create a positive atmosphere for the guys. Nothing different than my own journey in the UK and traveling. I tried to make a positive environment for people to learn and train together safely. I implemented rules, tried to structure the classes so they were safe, and the results spoke for themselves. The guys were winning the interclubs, and they stepped up to the national championships, and they were winning them. So yeah, it worked well.
I remember, Yusuf, you were with me, right, when we went on the national team trials? Not the one that you went for. Yeah. So when you went, he went to your trials, which was very well orchestrated. At that time, I was still recovering from my second surgery. But I went to the first one before any of my surgeries. Then I saw Yusuf's trial, where you guys are walking through different specific things and like do this, do that, and it was long, and there was pure focus on him. It's not like just, hey, let's go, let's try to get this sheep herd through this program and funnel them through this system. No, it was actually very specific and very technical.
And fair.
Yeah. But I think that came with you. Am I right? Like, did you set up that program, or do you have a say in it?
The second one, he means, not the first.
The second one.
Yeah, I wasn't involved in the first one.
Yeah,
that
I
you
didn't see you there.
described,
but it was the beginning. I think it was the very beginning.
Yeah, I saw it because I brought some of the guys, but I wasn't involved with the federation there. My only sort of comments with that is it was a new sport, so for people a lot of the time they're taking what they had and implementing it. For myself, I'm fortunate enough that I have sort of a long career in MMA and also coaching. So I had my own gyms. I've been around the world, like, coaching youngsters. So for me, everything has to be about like progression, so slowly implement the levels, scaling up. And also that we have to have special measures in place to protect people, obviously when people first start. It was a case when I was here of trying to structure things, to educate people, to help upskill people. Like in any industry, you need to sort of help people progress, and it's small steps in the right direction, and that's how people climb to the top of the ladder. And again, in any sport, it's like that. For me, I brought the structures and what was tried and tested methods, and just started to implement them here and explain to people. At first, people didn't understand; it was new to them, and I tried to be very open-minded, because some people, if you don't know, you just take it for granted that people like, you can't grapple with a 90 kilo. That's not fair. So with a 90 kilo place, yeah, someone could get hurt. So I just tried to implement safety measures, tried to structure things, clean things up, explain to people, educate them and upskill them. And it's something that it's ongoing. I work a lot with officials, so training judges, referees, and it's the same case. It's not always what people think it is at first or at first glance. It takes time and experience to understand it.
But key word, you said you had a career in MMA. So this is your specialty. Yani this is your specialization. You know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's my life.
But let's go back in time a bit now. Let's talk about Tolly Plested.
Okay.
So your journey, like when you were growing up in the UK, in Eastbourne, I believe.
Yeah, that's right.
You started your career in martial arts with Kyokushin, if I'm not mistaken.
That's right, yeah.
So walk me through not only the Kyokushin, no, but the start. What made you start martial arts? What was the key thing?
So for myself, as a youngster, I started competing and training in Kyokushinkai karate at 7 years old. As a boy, my parents realized I was very competitive and thought I should hone that competitive nature in sports. And martial arts was one of the things that I focused on and competed in. I then enjoyed all sports. I then at school, football, rugby, basketball. And then in my teens, I started with boxing. Boxing, then progressed into kickboxing and Muay Thai. In my early 20s, I watched one of my friends introduce me to the UFC, where I saw UFC 1, I saw hoist Rئيسي, and then decided that I needed to learn to grapple to add to the disciplines that I was training in. I had friends from Eastern European countries that were national level wrestlers, so I started wrestling. I enjoyed that. I was introduced to my Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu instructor, who was a former world champion, José Marcelo. So I used to travel to train with him 3 times a week. I would drive 2 hours to Slough, train for 2 hours, and then drive home for 2 hours. And I just couldn't get enough. I really enjoyed the training.
You did judo as well?
Afterwards, I did judo.
Afterwards,
yeah.
okay.
After when I retired from MMA professionally, I carried on competing in jiu-jitsu and took my black belt in jiu-jitsu, and then made it my goal to take my black belt in judo as well, and competed in judo. I competed in mixed martial arts, I think, for around 10 years. I was professional. All the styles sort of naturally blended together, from the striking to the wrestling to the jiu-jitsu. I was very passionate about competing, and it became my full-time sort of career in maybe late into my 20s, 26, 27. I opened up my own gym. I started to run some of my students that I was training were fortunate enough to be able to get scouted for the UFC. I trained Ollie Thompson, who competed in the UFC. Other athletes through my journey come to train with myself. I travelled the world with training, visited Thailand for training camps, Brazil, the States, and throughout Europe. And then I retired in 2014 to concentrate on coaching and my gym.
You retired undefeated, key.
Yeah, I was undefeated in
undefeated,
MMA.
yeah. But because I know some of the backstory with Carl, because Carl is a very close friend of mine, so we share a bit of a similar story in terms of, I mean, he told me the struggle in the beginning where you had the vision of coming to the UAE, you had when you back in the UK, and like you said, you used to visit the UAE.
Yeah, for myself, obviously I shared like goals with Carl, and after I'd finished coaching in the UK and my own gym, I went to work for the brand UFC gym, and I was still visiting the UAE as an official, as a judge, and I shared my goal with Carl as far as wanting to move to the UAE and what a great country it was. Carl, although he was kind of new to the UAE, visited Bahrain. He competed for Brave and felt similar. We saw that the potential here and how martial arts was growing with jiu-jitsu and other martial arts in Thai would grow. And yeah, just what a great country it is to live in. So, yeah.
So the reason I brought it up because we both resonate. Even Carl brought it up back in the day that you guys kind of remind me of how me and Tolly like shared the passion or the dream, because me and Ahmed were the same thing. Like we were passionate about the sport. Then COVID hit. I remember when COVID hit, we had to sit down and say, "Listen, I mean, it's gonna sound crazy, but I think we could build a gym here, like a mini gym." Kind of private, but the goal is to build even fighters from the ground up with us, like because as even locals, as you know, because people come and train with us and they always say like they find the vibe here different than other commercial gyms even.
Yeah,
you know? There's a brotherhood. So we wanted to do something in Dubai where people come and train good, hard, but not feeling the commercial gym feeling.
I understand exactly what you're saying. One thing that worked really well for us in Abu Dhabi and MBZ is it was never run like a business, and that was honestly it was run by trying to share the information, teach, and then it was spontaneous. Like more people would come who enjoyed the training. Now the team would bring other relatives, because at the time in MBZ there wasn't lots of things for the local lads to do.
When you say MBZ, you're referring to the UFC gym in MBZ?
Yeah, in MBZ. And for a lot of the youngsters there wasn't lots for them to do. They would spend time with their cousins and their families, and then sometimes at the weekend, I think some of them went out into the desert on their quads and stuff like that. So by opening our doors to them and introducing them to what was MMA, what they were seeing on television with the UFC, and then being able to partake in structured classes, they were absolute beginners. A lot of them hadn't done anything before, any other martial arts, and to be able to build them from the ground up, for them, they enjoyed it. So, you know, they invited their cousins and friends to join the training, and that's how it sort of grew. Respect was high, but the environment, as we said before, was very positive, and for me, those guys were like family. The gym was our home, and they were brothers to me. And I think with time, they instilled their trust with myself, and it enabled us to go forward together into competitions, because it's very intimidating. You know, a lot of the guys had never actually been in any physical altercations or confrontations, and then to be able to sort of progress where they're competing in MMA at interclubs, and then obviously a national level, it takes time and it takes trust, and that's something I was very fortunate to have with the guys in MBZ. Yeah,
I find that to be surprising, because the UFC gym is a commercial gym.
It's always gonna. I've been privileged enough to work at MMA gyms, from very basic MMA gyms where, similar to you guys, that there's a gym on a home and it's a group of friends that come together and train, right the way to successful MMA gyms that are very hardcore, the training's full on, to corporate gyms that are recreational, designed for fitness and for fun. And there's always a case of fighters are very competitive. Coaches are also, a lot of them are retired fighters. So you're always going to get that crossover back and forth in these gyms. There's successful ones, there's balance. And that's the goal, but it's not always easy to achieve that. And then if you start to add in different departments, like in these big commercial gyms where there's a sales department, there's a merchandising department, there's administrations, even more so. They're people from different backgrounds, and there's always that time where the crossover. And then here in the UAE as well, it's very multicultural, so the people from different backgrounds, add that in. So it's not easy to be able to
navigate,
blend, to have it all working.
But you mentioned that you had your own gym back in the UK.
Yeah, I've had 3,
So, how, like logistically, because you are still fighting, and
so basically, it's a good question. So basically, I had my own gym, and when I was competing, more and more people would come to the shows, the events, and see me win. And then in Tail, people saw, what I could do and what the other guys were achieving, so they wanted to train. And it was the same. They come to the gym, they sampled the atmosphere, the environment, and people are drawn to people, not buildings. So more and more people would come, so the gym grew. We took on bigger units to facilitate that, and it overtook my fighting career. It come to a point where the goal was always UFC, but at the same time, coaching was a success for me in the gym. So I made a decision with my age and everything that I would focus on the coaching, and I would compete for fun in jiu-jitsu and judo and wrestling.
How difficult was that decision? Because, I mean, most fighters, the sport leaves them before they do. So how difficult was that decision for you? And also, to add to that question, do you get the same sense of satisfaction watching your students win a championship?
Good. These are good questions. At the time, it was very hard. But for me, I'm competitive, I'm passionate, and I don't want to ever do anything half-hearted. So I'm either a competitor and fighting, and I'm training 2 to 3 times a day, 6 days a week, and that's the road I'm on. Or I'm coaching and I want to coach champions, and this is the journey I'm on now. So I wanted to be committed to one or the other. It was hard to be able to train full-time and coach and run the business, and it was growing constantly all the time. So it's very hard for me. But I think looking back, I made the right decision.
But do you get the same sense of satisfaction?
Yeah, I'm always drawn to competition. I always have been, as we said, since I was 7. I was competing in martial arts, and it's with the guys now, especially because we've been together 3.5 years, a lot of them. For the seniors, going to competition and seeing them win, we speak about feelings, emotions. I give them feedback, and I think that's something, as a coach, if you've competed yourself, not all coaches have competed in MMA, But if you have to be able to pass on the emotions and understand what it feels like to cut weight, to sit in the sauna and feel very tired, lethargic, and just before you're about to make the walk into the cage, give the feedback, share some thoughts of how they potentially could be feeling. I think that's invaluable. That's valuable. To be able to pass that on to the student and the competitor. So yeah, and I'm more nervous for them when I see them compete and excited than I was when I used to compete.
But highlighting that point, emotions. As a head coach running a gym, you see different emotions in different fighters, different types of patterns of thinking. Like how do you find a middle ground where you can manage all these different emotions, where they and make it work? What do you?
It's very hard, and it's something that's overlooked a lot of the times. And in my experience of working at different gyms and having my own, honestly, it comes from the top down, from the head coach, from the manager, from the assistant coaches, from the senior students, establishing respect, and making sure that everyone respects one another and has the same intentions. Everyone's there to achieve their goals and grow together, and to share how important everyone is, and to reiterate that the gym is our home, the team is our family, we are like brothers, we need each other, and to make sure that's instilled with the members, and that's every class, shaking hands, embracing, hugging, this sort of stuff. It's a constant reminder. You need discipline and respect in that environment. If I'm trusting you to put me in a chokehold, or you're trusting me to put you in an armbar, we have to have that relationship where I'm not going to take it past that point, I'm not going to hurt you. And I think with athletes, that's very...
The ego.
Yeah, that sense of I have to trust you, you have to trust me, and that builds respect. And there's a closeness between athletes in martial arts that you grow. Like my best friends now are, former teammates or coaches. So yeah, it boils down to a lot of it in respect and installing it early on with the guys and maintaining that throughout.
And how do you deal? I feel like you have zero tolerance with for example, if a person comes in and you see him, like how he deals with the other guys, maybe his ego always takes over his emotions. What do you, because I'm speaking, I'm asking for
I understand.
my
Experience. For me, a lot of the time, I remember as a child, I didn't understand why my coach was so hard on me. I remember thinking maybe he doesn't like me or he doesn't want me here. I'd go back and I'd be like, I feel that I'm doing very well in my actual training and in competition. So why is he pushing me so much, or why is he so firm with me when with some of the others he doesn't seem that way? It was only years later, when I sort of become a coach myself, I realised he saw something in me and he wanted to sort of harvest that. He was hard on me, and looking back, I needed it. I needed that discipline. I picked up a lot of life lessons about respect, discipline, my work ethic. It comes from my martial arts coaches, not from my schooling. As a boy in school, I did okay, but the real positive role models we had come from our martial arts coaches. And I always remember those lessons. So I'm the same with our guys. It's because I care. It's because I want them to do well, and if I think they need to pick up a couple of things about discipline or respect or really stay on point with certain things, I make sure I enforce it. But it's because I care and I want to see them do well. And again, we have to have that understanding. The rules need to be put into place. Mixed martial arts is potentially a very dangerous sport at times, so people need to know to bring their safety equipment, to pay attention. I don't want to see anyone get hurt, and I know if everyone sort of follows the rules, we can limit the chance of people being injured and hurt, and they'll continue to enjoy the sport.
No, he focuses on the small details, and talking about my interaction with Monsters, because I appreciate it. I appreciate it because if a guy like focuses on the small details, okay, no, he's serious about this. And I had to I was thinking, get your shit together, Yusuf. This is not your gym. Like you have to respect the guy that's in front of you. We were training on the mats. I had just gum in my mouth. I say, hey, why you chewing gum? Respect the mat. First I think, then I say, oh shit, yeah, he's all right. I went and spit it out and came back like nothing happened.
I would just like to add, it's not just serious. Like from now, we're just maybe 40, 30 minutes in, you understand the sport. You really do understand the sport.
Yeah.
It's my life, and it has been for, as I said, I think 23 years, this is all I've done. Is how I made my living, and I was privileged enough to train at an early age, and I realised what it did for myself and also for other people around me. Here, when I come to the UAE, specifically, Abu Dhabi, I didn't want to change anything. I wanted to pass on and make it authentic. So with the guys, I implemented the same things that I went through because I knew it was important to instill the discipline and the respect, and it would pay the guys back further down the line. Now, when I say to the guys that, I set goals for the guys, I believe in short-term goals, long-term goals. They understand. And it's important for them. They know I have their best intentions at heart. So if I say to them, please guys, you need to pay attention to this particular, technique or what we're doing or the rule set, they know it's for their own good. And that starts with basic things like please take your shoes off when you enter the mat, please no chewing gums on the mat, no drinks, put your shoes on when you go to the bathroom. Just very simple things that at first people didn't understand why we had to do that, and then they visited other gyms and lo and behold they got ringworm or staph, and they were like everyone was wearing shoes on the mat and not following the rules, and I was like but we've never had that. So it's
the small details.
Yeah, they're important. They play a bigger part further down the line.
You brought something interesting in my head. Like you came to the UAE, and not everyone is fortunate to have the same type of education. So sometimes there can be a language barrier. Even though you can, a human to human or a fighter to a fighter, you can understand that this guy got it. But sometimes, did you ever suffer with communicating or translating that passion or understanding? Or again, as I said, there's a big cultural difference.
Yeah.
So whatever brought people to the gym in the UK might differ from what brings people to the gym in the UAE.
Yeah.
So how did you handle that? Or if you have any examples also, that would be great.
There's a couple of answers to that question. So for myself, obviously some of my coaches were foreign. With the wrestling, a lot of them were Eastern European, so English wasn't their first language. We learnt a lot by practicing and feel and watching. The same with jiu-jitsu. The coaches were Brazilian. Some spoke good English. Some, obviously, it was limited, so we learnt by watching. And then also with judo, a lot of the techniques are named in Japanese, so it took time to learn the translation. So when I was in the UAE, again, most of the students spoke English, but the ones that didn't, it was the same format. We passed on the teachings by show, by feel, and by practicing. And then using other methods that are very universal, body language, greeting people. I was very open with people. I smiled. I thought it was important to sort of break the barrier and make people feel welcome. A smile goes a long way. And then again, just how you greet people and how you act. Yeah, it was challenging at times, but I was fortunate enough with the people that were there, seemed to enjoy learning with myself, and it worked. We progressed, and I made sure as best as possible we progressed at a steady rate, and it was safe for them, and they enjoyed it, and they kept wanting to come back.
Azman, because you mentioned emotions, so I mean, most of the men die without ever reaching any emotional maturity in their lives, and some of them die because they never had any emotional maturity, whether they're taking their own lives or it is what it is. How do you approach that with fighters? Because you really do need emotional maturity to approach a fight, because you know what thoughts can generate. They can be generated from those emotions if they're just running wild in you, and you have nowhere to funnel or channel them. So whether it's cutting weight or nerves or even someone having troubles at home, because nobody fights because they have a peaceful life. Yeah, people fight because they have a chaotic life.
I agree with that. I mean, when the team was brought together socially, some of them were very limited. They were young, or their interactions were only with their family or a few close friends. So we tried to break barriers down. I remember one instance when we were on the mats, there would be a couple of the guys sitting over to one side, and then on the other side they would sit there with maybe his brother, and then they would sit separately. And for me it was really distinctive. I was like, what's going on here? And I started to realize it, for some people that's just how it was. And it was evident that I had to sort of break those trends down. I made everyone sit together. At the end of class, we would sit together and discuss the training. I would give the guys feedback, what I thought they did well, what they should work on. I made them interact with one another, to speak to one another about how they thought they did, what each other need to work on, and as a team. And in essence, it built a team, but they improved socially. When we went, taking that one step further, you know, we would go to competitions, we'd all sit together, it would be the same. And I would notice the other teams wouldn't be sitting together. They would be alone in the corner, there would be this person, his coach might be over there would be one other. Not our team. Our team would always be together. And that was the strength of it. We built a culture, and we built a community within ourselves.
A brotherhood.
A brotherhood, that we'd always be there for one another. And it wasn't just about techniques and fighting or training. It grew outside of that. As you said, a brotherhood. We celebrated different occasions with each other at the weekends. So it made a difference in lots of, you know, aspects of the individual's life. Parents would come to me and say that they had certain issues with their youths, and what a difference it had made by them coming training. They grew, their character grew, they were becoming less shy, they were doing better in school because they were more confident, their social circles grew. And for me, that was a great motivator to know it's working. We're actually making a difference here. It's more than just, you know, winning gold medals. We're giving back to society in our own way. And again, I saw what it did for myself growing up, and friends and teammates, and then when I started coaching, what it did for youth and seniors, all different ages, different backgrounds. Just help them to improve their life, and that's something here, it's the same. I saw the same.
And this is a beautiful thing to expand on a bit, on the effect of martial arts in general, on the mental health of boys. Because speaking of my own personal experience, it made me calmer. Because this is something like mothers and fathers would be watching this, and I want them to hear, like, because sometimes some people have misconception of MMA being too barbaric or too like over the top when it comes to sports. But the reality is, especially it applies to women as well, not to segregate.
Yeah.
But to boys especially, we're born like when you get molded years and years. There's some anger sometimes that builds within you, and I personally had that. And mixed martial arts made me mellow down, made me more, because you gain confidence, you gain like emotional intelligence sometimes, where situations I would have been back in the day, it would have been badly. But now I take a different approach.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I agree. You discovered you discovered martial arts. For me and a lot of people, I described I was very competitive as a youngster, and that was that was an outlet for me with people, with all people, young, old, male, female. It's a way of releasing that negative energy, and some people don't get a chance to do that, and it stays inside, and that's not good. So with martial arts training, there's a way of releasing that negative energy, and then also friendships, brotherhood, to share any issues or dramas that you have growing up, to be able to share that with someone. And again, it's another form of releasing it. So it's very important.
I would add also those insecurities that get built up as a child, they build a lot of habits with them. So, for example, a bully is nothing but a person that is very insecure about his own skin and his own being. And if you notice, like, some of the most humble people, they would say, I was a bully back then. I mean, this guy right next to me was a bully back then in school. He was, like, I'm sure it comes from insecurity. I'm very sure. But once you step into that mat and you get humbled by a person that is more skilled than you, and you're the type of person that, I see red. If I'm angry, I'm angry. And you're constantly pushing people that are very, like, way less fortunate than you physically. And you think now you're the shit. But in reality, nah, you come to the gym, you get humbled once, and now you're at a crossroads. I need to better myself, or I better go back to some people that are less fortunate.
Well, they don't last long in training if it's like that. People have to change. I think knowing lots of champions in various different disciplines and competitors, they all generally have the same sort of backstory. A lot of them had it very hard growing up. You know, bullying or something was going on behind the scenes for them, and what it did is it installed a sense of them wanting to better themselves, to not be in a place where that happens to them, so really push themselves, and it built motivation. And I think obviously again with martial arts, whether you're a bully or you've been bullied and stuff, by coming to the mats and seeing it, training with each other, getting to know one another on a deeper level, sort of leaving any past sort of traumas and stuff, it enables you to grow and be a better human being. So, and as you said, it's one way or another. You're either going to partake in that, in martial arts, and be better, or you're not. You're not going to last. To
me, the biggest understanding is, especially now that I am not the average person. Like, I have skills that are beyond the average person. Back then, I would, if there is like a potential issue that can happen there, I would go towards it just to kind of express my insecurity and start screaming and popping my chest. But now I understand the dire consequences of being in a combat, especially in street fights. Not speaking about in the gym, I'm speaking in public, the way I live my life. So if I see trouble on one side, I make sure I'm walking the other side, even though I am more than capable of handling myself in such situation. But I understand, of course, one punch can get the guy to hit his head on the concrete, and that's it. I'm behind jail for 25 years or whatever it is. It builds a lot. Like, the point is, it builds a lot.
I think everyone should learn how to defend themselves properly. The same way that we send youth to swimming lessons in case they ever fall into the ocean. People should learn how to defend themselves. What's more, I think when you're training regularly in martial arts and the technique and the sparring, you become less enticed to involve yourself. I've been training all week and fighting. I don't want to get into that altercation. And then also, it's when people are threatened, isn't it, that they puff their chest out and feel that they have to stand their ground. Exactly. If a child was saying something to you, you wouldn't feel threatened, so there'll be no need to sort of get into an altercation with them. And it's the same when you know you can defend yourself and the person's not really a threat. You can walk the other way. It's only when your life's actually in danger that you have to defend yourself. And in these cases that you described, it's rarely a life or death situation.
Yeah, that was beautifully said. So it's a natural instinct, because us as humans, like we are.
That's it.
I mean, essentially, we're animals that are very, like, not in the meaning animals, but we come from the same organisms. We have natural instincts. In Arabic, I say something. I call it whatever. I forgot it. Anyways, but like we do have the same natural instincts as animals. So if you compare yourself to many of the predators or the prey, you're gonna see a lot of similar characteristics. The only difference is we have this that actually functions with the conscious and like what makes you. I don't think animals have that, but they have everything else that we do in terms of natural instinct.
It is that animal instinct as you described. We call it fight or flight. I'm either gonna, run away, flight, or have to fight. And as humans, we've developed. Obviously, we, fortunate enough, don't have to fight for our lives on a daily basis. So. Yeah.
Translates in other ways. Like, for instance, if I don't train for a week, it immediately
you feel it, right?
Immediately, yeah. Regardless of what I could be doing. So, for example, yesterday I'm exhausted. I worked all day long, but I still have that energy in me. There's some like a physical out. Like I'm mentally drained, but physically, like some energy needs to leave my body. It hasn't left yet, so it builds maybe tension in my head. I can easily respond. I mean, I'm at a point in my life where I'm very zen and peaceful. But back then, it would be maybe an increase in my tone, say the wrong thing in response, even with family members. Like a very minor conversation or a very silly conversation can be taken way seriously by me because I have a lot of built-in energy that was not spent today. But come meet me after training. You could literally do whatever you want. I'm like, suit yourself as long as you're not affecting.
No, I understand. It's everything we've sort of described between the three of us, and for people who feel the same way, it's a great outlet, martial arts and MMA in general.
Do you feel like, because I remember we were at one event together and you were coaching your boys, and that night you had 7 wins out of 7 fights.
Yeah, that was a great evening.
That was amazing. And you guys had done that already the week before.
So,
like, first of all, congratulations, because it's at this point it's a standard. You've set a very very good standard for your team.
Thank you.
People expect nothing less from you, and I've been there to witness that firsthand. Witness greatness, and on the other hand, witness negligence, like horrible negligence, because we're not speaking about adults. We're speaking about coaching youth, children, that some of them don't have a father figure in their lives. They don't have anyone to idolize, and to them, their coach is everything. Yes, I mean, you definitely have some of those people that come to you and seek guidance from you in things other than mixed martial arts. Am I correct?
Yeah, so, you are.
You were paying attention to every fighter as if he's the only person under your belt. And when I say you were giving them advice from the corner, it wasn't stand up. No. Hey, dig in the underhook. Okay, now put your back against it. Hey, control his wrist. No, don't let him. Like, you're giving specific instructions. And I'm sure some of the other coaches know that, but do they care enough to pay that much attention and give that much advice? I'm not sure. But one thing happened in front of me, which one of the young guys lost, and the coach, he's like, at this point, I'm going to say pretending to care about him and hugging him. And because what he did behind the fighter's back is he looked to the fighter's walking away, his head's down, and he comforted him a bit. And then he looked to the other coach, he's like, he's never going to, I told him to stand up. I told him, like, you know what I mean? Like, to me, because those are my countrymen. Like those boys, like I see them as my siblings, as my cousins, as like, hey, what are you doing here? And then on the other hand, I see you smiling from ear to ear because one of your guys won, and then you come back with a laser focused eye because now it's time for the other one to do the same. And
I wanted a clean sweep that day.
Yeah.
Honestly,
the question is, what do you feel towards those other coaches that can really have the same opportunity where you create a very great community and a great brotherhood and help a lot of people, and then some people can actually make those kids hate the sport that you're doing?
I care.
Apparently.
I care. And that's the basis of it. And I'm a competitor myself, so I always do my best to win competitively. I give it everything, and I always have. I'd like to think in anything really I've turned my attention. I've always tried to give it my best. But what's more, any student under my guidance or competitor, it's my duty. I have a duty of care as a coach to support, help, and take care of the individual, whether that's having a talk after class about any issues they might have, or problems maybe when they're cutting weight, anything. Like, for me, I feel that it is my responsibility to be there for them. So I give it my all, and I'm always there. It's coaching is it's completely different to being a fighter, or at least in my opinion. For a fighter, you have to be very selfish. You have to think about yourself. You have to sacrifice time at home with your family and your friends because you need to go training, and then you come back, you're tired, maybe a bit moody, don't want to socialize. It's very self-centered. You need to give it everything, and it's about you. With coaching, it's the opposite, and I think that's why not all athletes make good coaches, and vice versa. Not always good coaches make good fighters. Yeah. With a coach, you have to give up your weekends to go to the competition. You have to stay on late after you've already given the class. You have to be there for them. So not everyone holds those values. Some people don't realise it. So it's different how other people coach, and for some people it's just a job. For myself, it's more than that. Also, it can be very challenging as a coach, being very competitive and not being able to maybe pass along the information to the athlete in the octagon, and that maybe they're not listening because of the adrenaline. It can be frustrating. So I do understand where some coaches will be like, he's not listening to me, it's really frustrating, he should only do... And that's the skill set in coaching. It's to be able to pass on the information that you have from your own experience and you've learned to the next person.
To add to something Yusuf said previously, is like, we started from the beginning and we wanted to... The vision, to be honest, it wasn't as clear as it is today, and the vision kept on building up with time. Like, we're giving you a very shortened version of it. And just like everything, even this place that you see...
it's great. I love it. You've done
it's
good
yours,
job here.
Man. It's yours. It got built with time. Like, we take one step, we see how capable we are, then another step gets built, and then we see how capable we are, and we just keep on getting crazier. That's basically what we see, and then we end up with a head like that.
Your confidence grew.
Oh, definitely.
And one key point as well, we hit a lot of roadblocks as well, but we managed to...
Yeah,
definitely.
Martial arts helps teach that skill set. When, I'm stuck underneath a bigger opponent, it feels like this is impossible. I can't escape. I can't get out of this situation. And then before long you learn how to deal with a bad situation, and it's much like life. You know, it's a snowball effect, as we say. You start to learn, I can do this. Your confidence grows, and then the goals get bigger and bigger and bigger, and you're able to achieve them.
As a head coach of the UAE national team of youth mixed martial arts, like how did it start in terms of the vision or the goals that were set? And I'm sure they just kept on building, and I'm sure they're going to continue to keep on building. So it's a multi-layered question. So I'm going to ask the first side, like when it started 3.5 years ago, and where you are today, like what are the progressions that kept on building with that?
I can only speak about myself.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you're the head coach. That's the perspective I'm looking for. Yeah.
I think 2020 is when I moved here permanently, and the intention was to develop mixed martial arts, both with facilities and gyms, and then with the individuals that visited those gyms. When more of the local individuals started partaking into the training, it was maybe a challenge to myself to see how far we could take it. If these individuals themselves would like the training, would want to take it further, could they push themselves, could they work harder? Then the next goal, could they compete? Because that requires a certain level of discipline and focus, and a lot of people told me, no, that's not going to happen. You're not going to get these guys to compete. And honestly, I believed in them, and that's where it come from. So we facilitated that with smaller competitions, and they achieved it. And again, I believed in them from the start, but I think they started to believe in themselves, and it grew. And much like what you described, their confidence grew. We went to bigger competitions. They achieved great results. And it drew more and more people to the training, and to more people started to believe. It takes time. Mixed martial arts is a very... It's the toughest sport in the world.
It is.
You know, so if you could do that, you could do anything. And after the first couple of years, when I was invited to head up the national team, the goal remains the same, was to help coach, upskill, train individuals local to be able to participate in mixed martial arts, to understand it, to facilitate their training, to be able to help them achieve their goals. And it started locally, nationally, and now with the youth internationally. And it's not going to stop. This is only going to get bigger and bigger as more and more people are aware of it and partake in it, like you two said yourselves. This is going to keep growing, and my intention is to help support that.
And the demand is even more now, I bet, especially with success, with medals coming in. I bet they're asking even more of you now, in terms of achievements, especially. They are, of course.
Yeah.
Because that's how we do. I mean, that's how it's supposed to be as well.
You gotta give the people something to believe in. So in his world, that translates to medals.
Yeah. And especially in the UAE, and we live in a culture where since we were kids, we always hear like we want to be number one. We want to be number one in everything. Like our the royals, they always emphasize on being number one. So I think especially when they see, and like we said, MMA is still in its infancy in the UAE. It's progressing fast, but it's still in the beginning. Yeah. So when they see medals suddenly starting to come in, and there is potential. Even the girls, they're doing great things. So when they see that, I bet now they're focused even more. They're gonna invest even more. I sometimes envy the young kids. Me and Ahmed, we always say like, if this happened like 10 years ago.
It's the same for us. I love the competitiveness here. It brings out a side of me that really pushes and wants to achieve, and I think it's great. The support the leaders of this country give, I've never experienced that anywhere else in the world, and this is why I choose to call the UAE my home. With the youth, we spoke. You mentioned the youth. We spoke about the youth, the competitions they run every week in jiu-jitsu, in MMA. They firmly believe in the youngsters training and having a healthy lifestyle. This will be passed on, I believe, in mixed martial arts. And for all the reasons we've spoken about today is why it's so important for the youth, not just males but females too, to be able to have a healthy lifestyle. And I think it's important for us to be able to facilitate that and play a small part in it. To see MMA grow as it is here is great for me. It takes time though. It's a sport where you have to learn multiple disciplines, and it does take time, and it's still new here, but it's growing at a steady rate, and again, it's great to witness.
Especially, like you said, the females, because I mean, as you know, we are Arabs. We are a bit sometimes conservative. I mean, culturally, we're conservative.
Yeah.
But seeing now in these days, like a couple of months ago, I bet you saw the news or you were there. I don't know. But the daughter of the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi like competed in jiu-jitsu and won a medal. And when we see stuff like that, it makes me happy, because for a long time in our community, let's say, there's a group of people where anytime they see a girl competing in sports, oh no, this doesn't represent us. Women belong in the kitchen.
This doesn't represent us. Really sucks.
Yeah,
like that sucks.
Yeah, I know. We are, as locals, we see that more. So there are some type of people or a group of people that have that thinking where no, females should not be competing. Females should not be. But what I mean, as an Emirati, as an Arab man as well, as a Muslim too, I would rather see a generation of women, of young girls competing in martial arts, bettering themselves every day. I mean, representing their country in the hugest, tournaments, let's say worldwide, than just being, from a coffee shop to coffee shop or restaurant to restaurant, like the typical view, let's say, of how a woman should be here. Yeah. So seeing like the crown prince of the country, having his daughter, and showing his support and standing there like a fan and happy and hugging her in front of everybody, that sent a message to everybody. Yeah. I mean, and seeing girls like Zamzam and her sister, I forgot her name, her sister.
Qataliya,
I mean,
Ghalia.
They're gonna inspire a generation.
Honestly, they made believers of myself too. For me, I'm willing to help anyone that will put the work in and believes in themselves. And working with those two particular sisters the last couple of years, they've shown everyone what it's possible to do. And I think they've been great representatives of the UAE. And I think they'll carry on to represent their country very well.
Definitely. I mean, I was going to ask a question, but they have the opportunity to be the shift, especially in mixed martial art, because in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, it's easy. Yeah. It's been going on for a while, but in mixed martial arts, they are fortunate to have their mother as an example. She's their biggest, I went through her background. She already had some experience back then, and she pushes. Even they have Zayed, I think their brother. They're pushing the whole family towards competition, and she's taking them with she's supporting them. So unfortunately, not everyone has that, especially as females. So I think the next female generation in mixed martial art is going to be introduced through Zamzam and her sister. I really believe that, because there is no one doing it better than them.
So the Jiu-Jitsu Federation here do a brilliant job of facilitating competitions for the youngsters and the seniors, but male and female. So the youth here are able to compete in jiu-jitsu and to build that skill set, and it's classed as normal now for them to train and compete. And Zamzam and Galia, her sister, they've competed in jiu-jitsu for numerous years. They shared with me witnessing the first IMAF youth championships here, and they were in the stadium and they were watching it. They saw some of the international girls competing and decided that was going to be their goal. They wanted to do it. They shared their goal with their mother, and their mother is a great human being, very inspiring and motivational. She does a great job with all her kids, and they set it about their goal that they wanted to learn MMA and they wanted to partake in the next Youth World Championships. That wouldn't have been possible if the MMA Federation and the Jiu-Jitsu Federation hadn't facilitated the Youth MMA Championships here, where people could see for themselves, and set it as one of their goals. The following year, after witnessing that, both Zamzam and Galia herself were crowned world champions. And then also the year after, they were crowned world champions. So it shows that the competitive nature here is working. It gives back, it inspires people to want to do better, to want to be the best that they can be.
Man, before ending it, do you have anything else to say? Any questions to ask?
First, what advice do you have for, let's say, young fighters? Because doubt is a huge part, that plays a huge part in a fighter's psyche, let's say. Like how do you engage, or how do you approach a fighter and try to shift that doubt into confidence? Like how do you deal with that? But at the same time, what would you advise a fighter also?
So for myself, just helping with mindset. We're in a sport where mindset is everything. Yet we focus solely 100% on the physical preparation, not the mental. So with the athletes under my supervision, we do a lot with mindset. Again, we sit down after every session, I give feedback, we speak about, I encourage them to speak up and say, you know, what do they think they did well, what do they need to work on, where their mind is with things, are they feeling frustrated, are they feeling confident? And I constantly try to support that and encourage them to speak up, which at first was very hard. It was challenging to get the individuals to speak about how they're feeling about training. I don't think they'd ever done it before. They never shared, and especially guys, we don't tend to speak about our feelings. So I play on that with the guys. I speak to them, you know, about what they should be aiming for. I try to build their confidence. I'm a big believer in positive mindset, in a champion mindset. So I install in them the positive things, everything they've achieved previously, meaning what they can achieve in the future, and they should concentrate on that. To be aware about certain things that they need to work on, you know, and to keep focusing on their goals. And that's done by setting them short-term goals. What do you need to work on? You might need to work on your fitness, you might need to work on your striking or your grappling. Where's your progression with that? You know, we said we were going to do this. I hold them accountable to it. And for me, that's all done because I want to help them mentally have an advantage over the competition. Anything we can do to better them as an athlete, as a fighter, I don't want us to overlook. I want us to prepare for. So that's the sort of things I do with the athletes.
Yeah, you build the confidence brick by brick.
Yeah, it's done slowly. There's a gentle progression where we raise the bar and then they achieve that standard. We raise the bar again. We achieve that standard. We're able to grow together. And that's how it should be done. It's the only way. If the bar's too high, we might fail in the first attempt. We're not going to be able to achieve that. We're not going to be able to scale the mountain in one go. We have to climb slowly.
And
we'll get there.
Fits our country's model. Like our country's model always has been doing that. Like next 10 years we want to do this, and then we see what we're capable of, and then we just keep on going bigger and bigger, and now we have a very big vision for like 2050 or 20 whatever the visions that are set. But the country has always been progressing this way, and you're a perfect fit for that, whether it's mentally, physically, or even in terms of IQ. And you highlighted a lot of things that most people are kind of one-dimensional. They would focus on the physical, but man, you're taking care of our youth, and for that I'm more than appreciative, because I can see them being in great hands, and your achievements have been speaking for themselves.
Thank you for your comments. No, thank you. It means a lot.
I really appreciate that. And before ending this episode, I would like to give you the platform to whoever you want to thank, whoever you want to shout out, and yeah, it's been a pleasure, man.
I would, first off, thanks guys for having me on this. It's interesting as well to hear your backstory. I think you're doing a great job, and I know for yourselves it's going to grow. And for myself, I'd like to thank the staff at the UAE JJ Federation, and obviously the Federation, the UAE MMA Federation, for what they're doing for the youth, for facilitating the growth of mixed martial arts here in the UAE, with the up-and-coming competitions that they're hosting, with the international IMAF competitions that are actually held here, with the training camps abroad, and with the structure that they bring to MMA throughout the country. Without them, it wouldn't be possible, and the leaders that are there supporting it. And all the people that are pushing the sport here, we all have the same goal, to watch the sport grow, and to make sure the UAE is the best it possibly can be, and it keeps growing in the right direction.
We look forward to seeing you grow the sport in our country, man. Continue growing the sport in our country. Thank you for coming on. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.